Hello, this is Greg Allison of Green Greg's coming to you on 9/11/2020 with a somber warning on a day of somber remembrance. The warning is about what appears to be a new nuclear weapons launch policy of the People's Republic of China, head, of course, by the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, and their military, the People's Liberation Army, the PLA. And what I've got to say today is their policy is launch on warning. This is a hair trigger policy. Before we get into that, I think everybody needs to take at some point today a moment of silence in remembrance of those that we've lost in the events of 9/11, 19 years ago today, and in the conflicts that ensued from thereafter. We might also take a moment of remembrance for the freedoms that we have lost. So that's something we need to work to get back. I'll talk about that at the very end. Until then, let's talk about this. So what's happened is the Pentagon has put out a new latest version of their annual report to Congress on China, China's military power, China's military posture. I'm going to show you their report in just a moment. I'm just at least going to show you part of it. But one of the most stark things about that is that they now have an assessment that China is reaching a launch on warning status by the way they're developing their forces. And that appears to be their new doctrine. Now, bear in mind, in our world, we've had in the past, historically, two primary nuclear powers, the United States and Russia. China's been a nuclear power since 1964 when they detonated their first bomb. But China's number of nukes seem to be low. We've estimated them at 300, like perpetually every year, even though they keep building more. They keep saying the rest of their stockpile is 300. Kind of strange. They've also built a vast network of underground tunnels for mobile missile launchers, but we say their number, and they're building submarine launch ballistic missiles, but we say their numbers are the same. And now we acknowledge that they're doubling their numbers. Now, doubling from what? But it's not really the number, it's the policy. And moreover, we got to put this in context of the historical precedents. Like I said, historically, China's forces weren't considered consequential because they were going to be a launch only upon, they're being hit, they're being attacked. They had a no first use policy. Well, we believed, right, or for better or for worse, that was accepted by our policymakers. That said, their forces weren't all that strong, several years back. So they didn't figure into the dynamics of what was going on between the United States and Russia. Pakistan and India kind of faced each other off, and we may have some face-off and prospective nuclear powers not too distant future between Israel and Iran. We are coming into what we call a multipolar nuclear player situation. In the past, it was just the West, Europe, France, and England also had nukes, but small number, but they were really considered to be part of the U.S. alliance against Russia, for the most part. Yeah, France, who knows? When I was in the Army, we used to joke, what's the first thing we were going to do if the balloon went up and we went to war with Russia? We used to say we were going to turn around and shoot the Frenchmen and then fight the Russians. Just simply because we didn't know what the Frenchman was going to do. We didn't trust him. That was just a joke. Just a joke, guys. But that's what the troops used to say back when I was in the Army. And so that was kind of the way of thinking, or joking. Or was it? Yeah, it's a joke. So the thing is, even with just two players, we've had over 13 well-documented cases of near misses where we almost went to war with Russia. And we did this in an environment where there were just a few weapon delivery type platforms. You had ballistic missiles launched from either land-based or submarine, and you had aircraft with bombers. It takes aircraft a while to fly somewhere. And so you had these three delivery platforms, but there were two ways of delivering missiles and the bombers. And that was pretty much it. Well, today we are seeing a multitude of launch platforms because we have hypersonics The hypersonics can fly around and do all, and go at high speed. So they're highly maneuverable, and especially with the things the Russians are developing. They're developing nuclear-powered hypersonics. They can fly indefinite amounts of time, just zigzag around all over the place, and then come in and get you. Scary, right? So we're reaching a new level of threat. We're reaching a new level of uncertainty. That's why on my channel, I tell you, you got to keep eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And that's why I bring you stories like this, is to help you keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. Because the proposition of my channel is if you survive, ride, and stay out of the hive. So I bring you stories like this. And I talk about how to survive. I give you videos on how to eat from the weeds in the trees, the wild edibles, how to grow your own food, and to do it with the resources you can produce on your own place without having to go to the store to buy fertilizers. And so we cover these things. I'm trying to help everyone to get through these times, and we're also organizing survival tribes. I'll get to that later. So I highly advise you, if you've not already subscribed to my channel, subscribe and bang the notification bell. Click all for future notifications, and come back and check occasionally, because the algorithms are not always most friendly to the channels that's trying to get the news out there. You won't find the news on the news, if you know what I mean. So that's why I'm bringing this to you. Now, to get to it, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a couple of sites here. This is the report that the Defense Department has put out. This is the annual report to Congress. And we're going to just go straight down. And look, here is where they're assessing the launch on warning. Increased evidence emerged in 2019 in the case of Chinese seek to keep at least a portion of its forces on launch on warning. This is seek to keep, so they've already been going there. Launch on warning posture. This includes further investment in silo-based forces while building more survivable mobile platforms that China's previously assessed as having low survivability in the absence of force-wide, low posture, and new developments in early warning capabilities. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So let's see if I can find it. Yeah. Has anybody heard of the Great Underground Wall of China, or the Underground Great Wall of China? Yeah. It just turns out that they have miles and miles, extensive networks of underground tunnels for their mobile forces, something that we don't have. We talked about doing it, but we never did it. The Chinese have already done it. So yeah, it's amazing they've got all this for just 300 warheads. Yeah, maybe 3,000 is more likely, as this report here suggests, for just that alone. Is this the number they're going to double? 3,000 instead of 300? Well, they've got quite a network. So that really makes you think about it, right? So let's go back to the report. So, yeah, you might think, well, you know, what's a mobile truck on the ground? How's that survival? It's not on the ground, it's under the ground. They don't tell you that here. I just had to show you that. So that's why sometimes we got to go around. That's why you've got me here to help you analyze some of these things, cover some of these things. Yeah, the imagery from 2019 of the satellites showing their dry ICBMs. I'm going to give you the link to this report so you can see it for yourself. And we'll just zoom back up to the top here real quick. Close it. And come down. And what we'll find is paragraph down here. General Secretary Xi Jinping in 2017 had said that, you know, his country wanted to have a world-class military by the end of 2049. Yeah, well, look what they're saying down here. They're already ahead of us in shipbuilding, land-based conventional ballistic missiles and cruising missiles, and integrated air defense systems. Yeah, so they're already there. So what is their real goal by 2049? What do they mean by world-class? World dominant? The only one in the world? Yeah, who knows what they mean. China's getting there fast. Now, the one thing that might deflate that is if we quit buying stuff from them, deflate their economy so they don't have the fuel to run their military engines. Of course, that might mean they just want to use what they got while they got it now. You know, who knows? They're in a wagging the dog situation potential with their food supplies. So that's just something I want you to think about there. I'm talking about food supplies. You really do need to prep. You need to consider this right now. Awesome deal. $100 off. I mean, at the moment, it's only $197 you got to pay. It's going to be $100 off. They'll raise this base price as food prices go up. But go to prepwithgreg.com. Prepwithgreg.com. You can get 4-week food supply with $100 off special. And right now, as I'm doing this video, it might change tonight, $197. But we know the price of food is going up rapidly, so they can't maintain this price forever. Better, and who knows, supplies may get very limited soon with the shortages I'm anticipating. 3 good meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner. Good assorted meals, desserts, drinks, 2,000 calories a day. And there's all kind of other supplies here at My Patriot Supply for prepping. All you got to do is go here and click prepping. You get water purification and all kind of great deals. If you go through here, it definitely helps me. You can get other long-term food storage and, you know, number 2 cans, year supply, water filters, air filters, all kind of good stuff. Other survival and items, as you can see here, great deal. So let's move back to, in fact, I want to stop the share. Bam. So let's talk about this. What we have now is a multitude of platforms. I'm going to go back to the internet there in just a second. I'm going to show you near misses. We have a multitude of platforms that can launch. These, and what this means is we don't have the kind of warnings we had before. We now have a situation where some of these, hang on, I accidentally hit share. Some of these platforms are just going to be hard to distinguish. They create uncertainty and being able to tell if you're under attack and what's coming at you. So there is a need to have some, you know, it's just hard to decipher. Our enemies at least need, if we are attacking them, once they see it, they need to be able to assess what we're shooting at them, because if they don't know, they're going to be more likely to launch, especially when they have a launch on warning posture. If we're sending, you know, conventional bombs, it'd be nice once they've detected it, that they would know by looking at the weapon systems that, hey, these are conventionals, or maybe if they knew they were even tactical nukes, they wouldn't react with strategic nukes. Maybe. Of course, if they feel their regime is threatened and existence is threatened, they may just go full bore. And let's hope they don't have a system like the Russians have had, which, yeah, Russians had it. The doomsday architecture, such that if we launch on them, and if the system out in Siberia lost comm with Moscow upon there being a detonation that corresponded to a nuclear event somewhere in Russia, everything launched. Yeah, and just like maybe Dr. Strangelove, when Dr. Strange says, the only way you make it work is you got to tell people you got it. What was the sense of if you didn't tell people you got it? And what happens? They had it, and they didn't tell people they had it. So where was the deterrence in that? So, crazy. So you don't always know what's on the other side. We didn't know about that until the wall fell. What all does China actually have? What does Russia really have? We see what they're showing us, what they're telling us. But it's that uncertainty, and it goes on both sides. So let me go back and share with you the near misses that we've had. And you got to factor all this in, the near misses that we've had. So hang on, we got to go to another site here. There it is. List of close calls. And you can find this, just go to Wikipedia and type in a list of nuclear close calls. So we've had multiple events where it's documented. Look here. All these here are prior to the October missile crisis that we're also familiar with. That one is right here. And we came far closer to a conflict than we realized, because we had an order issued to launch nuclear torpedoes from the Soviet sub during the October missile crisis. But the man who was supposed to launch it said no. This man right here. This man saved us from World War III back in 1962. Alexei Alexandrovich Arkhipov. Now, I was at one time a little better pronouncing Russian words. 10 years ago when I was in Moscow. 10 years and some few months ago. I'm getting a little rustier now. So you can credit him with saving the world because he refused to take the order. He got a lot of trouble for that, a lot of trouble. He was blacklisted because he did not follow through. But he saved us. He saved us. And we've had several occasions where a solar flare, coronal mass ejection almost caused a launch. We've had computer problems. We've had computers telling us we had a launch coming at us when there was nothing coming at us. Somebody accidentally installed war game tapes into the flight system at one time, the operational system, and they thought we had an actual launch coming upon us. There have been many military close calls. And there's close calls that's not even in there. And even after the Cold War ended, we had this close call after President Boris Yeltsin was president of Russia. The wall had fell. We thought everything was at peace. Bill Clinton was president of the United States, and we thought everything was kissy and lovey-dovey between Clinton and Boris. And yet, some guys decided to launch a Black Bat rocket from Norway to study the Northern Lights. And some of my friends were on the NASA side from Wallops, NASA Wallops Space Flight Center, were there. They were participating in this. And let me tell you, they had no idea that when they issued the notice to the Russian desk clerk that he wouldn't forward it to Moscow. And Moscow thought that there was a ballistic missile being launched from a submarine over the Barents Sea to EMP them, and that our missiles were coming behind it. And the Soviet generals were telling Boris Yeltsin to launch, demanding he launch. And he just said, no, I don't think so. Let's hold off a minute. I don't think Clinton could attack us. I'm just not feeling, I'm not believing it. It's a good thing he wasn't dead drunk on vodka that night, as he so often was. How close did we come on that occasion, on this occasion, when we thought everything was at peace? You know what? We're always at risk. And now the posture has been stood up again. Russia's getting more aggressive. They are developing new systems. They're modernized, and we're modernizing, and China is modernizing. So now we have three players, three chances on a global strategic case for major mistakes to be made. And given the history, wow, we've played Russian roulette for 13 times. And was this a 6-chamber with one round in it, or was this a 2-chamber pistol where we spun 13 times and somehow survived each time? We've had several very close calls. I'm going to tell you something. We are extremely lucky to be here. Now we're coming into an age that's going to be far more complex, far more challenging to us. And if China were going to attack us, if it wasn't a response to one of these things, the first thing they would do to us is hit us with an EMP. They would do that anyway upon an attack. An EMP attack on this country would be a top priority of theirs, believe you me. So, and one EMP device would kill 9 out of 10 Americans within a year or two, discounting what the effects would be of the spent fuel rod pulls at the nuclear power plants, which would go up in smoke too, which has almost 300 times more radioactive material than all the warheads in the world. So we got to factor all these things together. This is why, let me end this. Well, hey, you know what? You better get some seeds too. Check my links to True Leaf Market. Grow your own. True Leaf Market has great deals in here, and you can even grow your garden seeds. You can grow microgreens and sprouts indoors, anywhere in the United States. I'll show you how to do it in your living room in my videos, and they tell you how to grow them. And you get supplies for all this stuff, including the microgreens and sprouts. You get all the supplies you need for gardening, all the seeds you need. They're still available here. They got great deals. They got a good crew. Check out True Leaf Market. It helps me, and it'll help you too. I'm gonna stop that share. So this is a somber thing on a somber day, and I just want you to be aware of it, because you have to prepare. You have to get ready. First and foremost, get ready personally, mentally, spiritually. Be at peace with your Maker. Be at one, but never panic. Take care of your family. Do everything you can. But we're very uncertain times with all this tension ratcheting. We have a lot of tension ratcheting up between us and China right now. And China has been a bully. Look what they've got going on with the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs live in a huge province in western China. China is considered an open-air prison. They are what's going on there looks much like the Holocaust of World War II. Something we said will never happen again, and it's happening. And most of the world community has looked any other way for now. So that's what's happening with Uyghurs. That's what they're doing with Falun Gong, any political dissidents in China. Yeah. So, and then they've got very expansionist policies, very nationalist policies. Nationalist and socialist. Nationalist, socialist. Go look that up on Wikipedia and tell me what kind of system they really have. Well, there's a word for that. So go check that out. And that seems to be how they're operating. Okay, said enough on that. Key thing here is get ready. Be prepared. And thank you for watching.